In our politics lead, we are learning more about the more than 4,000 fired federal employees as President Trump makes good on his threat to pressure Democrats to end a shutdown now entering its third week. The federal agencies impacted by the mass layoffs include the Departments of Commerce, Education, Energy, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, Homeland Security, and the Treasury Department. Now, multiple sources at the Department of Education tell CNN the latest round of mass layoffs have decimated the office that handles special education programs serving millions of children, youth, and adults with disabilities nationwide. And a bipartisan policy center review says nearly 1.4 million other federal workers are either furloughed or working without pay. Joining me now is Randy Erwin, the national president of the National Federation of Federal Employees, which represents roughly 110,000 federal workers across the country. Just to start, as the shutdown stretches into this third week, you've highlighted the personal toll of not getting a paycheck, what that means for some of your members, some of whom you say are, quote, unable to pay for food, medications, childcare, other basic necessities their families need to survive. Others will be defaulting on rent, car loans, and other payments. The impact here, I think too often the federal workforce is kind of this amorphous concept, not actual people. What are some of the personal stories you've heard?
Yeah, we just did a survey of our membership, and we got, I just read 85 pages of comments that were absolutely heartbreaking. But the pain of the shutdown is hitting federal employees across the country. You got 2 million roughly federal employees across the country. They're all going without, nearly all are going without pay. Some are working, some are not. But, some are devastated that they're not being able to provide for their families. I was reading about some that say they once their tank of gas in their car is empty, they're not going to be able to fill it again. And they can't possibly go to work. They can't do anything because they don't have the money to put gas in their tank. And it's story after story like this. And it's just heartbreaking to see what's happening to hardworking federal employees who do such good work for the American people.
On the actual reductions in force, the firings, and I want to be clear here, when you're talking about 2 million workers, almost all of them are in the situation you're just describing right now in terms of not getting paychecks, 2 million plus. There are furloughed, and then there are individuals who were notified on Friday that they were subject to reductions in force. They're basically being fired. And what I think this is very different. We haven't seen this before in a shutdown. Sure. And when the president was asked about this is how he kind of framed everything. Listen.
It will be Democrat-oriented because we figure, they started this thing. These are largely people that the Democrats want. Many of them will be fired.
What's your response to that?
It's appalling to hear the president of the United States speak like this. Just to kind of take joy in the misery of Americans. And he is taking joy in singling out federal employees. I mean, first of all, he does not have the legal right to do a reduction in force during a shutdown. It's illegal to do. The Anti-Deficiency Act says that the executive branch, the White House and federal agencies can't lay off folks because money hasn't been appropriated for them to do so. And so the fact that they're doing that, it's an illegal action for them to take. And then the president's, adding insult to injury, taking glee in the fact that people are suffering. And, I just can't believe the president's acting this way. It's appalling. And, I just don't know what to say.
This is already taking place in court, the legal fight that you're talking about. And as I noted, this is unprecedented. The administration claims they have legal authority. Right. It certainly hasn't been utilized before. Your organization and others are challenging that. It's in the midst. I think the next hearing on the potential injunction, is in a couple of days, maybe 2 days. But in July, the Supreme Court lifted an injunction, kind of clearing the way for the president to move forward on mass firings as part of his broader overhaul. Why is this different?
Well, it's different this time because he's doing it without money being appropriated to do so. You can't go through a RIF without spending money, and he is now doing that. He indicated that he was going to do something that's illegal, and now he's gone and actually done it. And so, we have entered a new territory. It's important to remember that the president, swears an oath to uphold the Constitution. And Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution says that the president must faithfully execute the laws of this country. That law is written in plain English, and now he's going and violating it. And we're at a scary point in this country when the president is ignoring laws written in plain English. But that's where we're at.
What's your message to the president, but congressional leaders of both parties as we enter, I guess we're now in day 13 of the shutdown?
Sure. Well, the message to Congress is to Congress as the institution. It is important that you've got to get along enough to get in a room and hammer out some kind of spending legislation. That's your job. Do your job. It will require some compromise. It will require some bipartisanship. If it wasn't going to require that, we would have a spending bill done already, and we wouldn't have a government shutdown. So Congress, do your job and get that done. The president needs to follow the Constitution. He's taken it way too far. We need to see Congress stand up and hold him accountable. We need to see the courts do, I would say, a better job of holding the line and not letting the president kind of take things way too far. We're not talking about an area where you're nibbling around the edges. We're talking about a place now where it's blatant violation of the law in our view, and that's got to stop. We need those two other co-equal branches of government to do their job and hold this president accountable.
Randy Erwin, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.